In this video, I'll be walking you through some of the features of the PinkAI Performer module. This session features one track for the conductor, one track for the drums, which consists of a Performer module for the kick, the snare, and the hi-hat, one track for a bass, another track for an ambient pad, which consists of several Performer modules, and one of our presets you'll find in the downloaded pack. And finally, a little synth keys part. We'll be using this track to demonstrate a lot of the functionality. The first parameter you'll want to direct your attention to in most cases is probability. Probability simply states the likelihood of a note occurring at its given subdivision. 100% means you'll hear notes all the time at the 8th note subdivision here. Bringing this down to 0 means you won't hear any notes. Let's settle upon somewhere in the middle, 50%. The probability range dial allows PinkAI to change the probability percent and likelihood of a note occurring at every chord change. The probability range number increases and decreases the respective upper and lower bounds of this probability percentage, such that setting probability range to 50% and probability to 50 means that at every chord change, PinkAI could randomize the probability between 0 and 100%, that is, within 50% lower and 50% higher of the probability percentage. The chord scale dropdown allows you to select notes that belong to the chord or from a corresponding scale containing all the chord tones. The scale is randomized at every chord change, but is weighted more heavily towards common musical scales, or those with less dissonance. The melody mode dropdown allows you to select the directionality or contour of the notes. Up means all the notes will ascend until they reach the upper bound of the pitch range. Down means they will descend until reaching the lower bound of your pitch range, at which point it will restart at the top. And up-down will cycle the notes, ascending and descending within the bounds of the pitch range. Pitch center adjusts the middle notes within your pitch range. As you raise pitch center, the notes get higher. As you lower it, the notes get lower. The pitch center adapts to the chord generated by the conductor, so there's no absolute value listed in the parameters to pitch center. Pitch range adjusts the amount of notes to choose from in the upper and lower bounds surrounding the pitch center. The lowest pitch range forces a single note. Higher pitch ranges allow the PinkAI Performer to select from a much wider range of notes, potentially up to the entire keyboard. Leap range defines the size of the movement in chord tones or scale tones from one note to the next. But this only impacts the notes in the melody mode natural. In this case, the number 1 implies unison, forces the note to stay exactly the same. Leap range of 4 allows you to access 4 scale or chord tones higher or lower in a single note change. If the pitch range is too small and your leap range is high, you won't necessarily experience a leap of 9 scale or chord tones, because there may not be 9 higher or lower to access. So you'll need to increase your pitch range to experience this effect. Under the preset section, choosing the instrument ranges bank will populate a list of common instruments in the preset selection dropdown underneath. Selecting any of these will automatically set the pitch center and pitch range parameters to constrain to the note ranges associated with those instruments. Let's take a moment to talk about the Capture Quote feature. This feature enables the user to repeat melodies and rhythms. Clicking Capture Quote will begin the process of storing the next group of notes and rests, the number which is determined by the number of notes number box. The preset bank arpeggios and ostinatos feature a number of really useful presets that utilize the quoting function. Selecting this preset, 8th note ostinato, automatically activates the Capture Quote feature such that the next time you start the conductor module, the first group of notes generated will automatically be captured and prepared for repeating. In this example here, we have 8 eighth notes being captured. The captured notes will automatically adjust to fit the chord or the corresponding scale that is being generated, such that melodic contour and the rhythmic pattern of notes and rests stay the same. If you don't care for the pattern being generated, just click Clear Quote and then Capture Quote again to generate a new pattern. Do this as much as you like until you find something that captivates you. The quote percentage dial determines the likelihood that the captured quote will replay. At 100%, you will only ever hear the captured quote. Reduce the quote percentage to introduce some variation to your pattern. 50% means that you'll hear your quote about half the time. 0% means you'll never hear the quote, but the quote will always still be stored until you click Clear Quote again. Let's set this back to 100 for now. Increasing the number of quoted notes after you've already captured some will introduce rests into those additional notes. So clear the quote and capture it again to fill that space. Since I now have 16 notes captured and repeating, I want to change my rhythm subdivision to 16th notes so that my pattern will repeat every measure. Let's hear how this sounds. Playing around with the number of notes, the rhythm subdivision, and clearing and capturing new quotes, I believe is one of the most fun things to do with the PinkAI Performer module. If you've already captured a quote, adjusting the pitch center, pitch range, and leap range won't do anything. But adjusting these while another quote is active will establish a new range that will be utilized when you clear and recapture a new pattern. Check out our tutorial on creating drum beats with PinkAI to learn more about how to use the OneKey Mode and quoting feature to generate repeated rhythms. Activating OneKey Mode here will bypass all other melody parameters and force the performer to play only the selected note, which may be useful in creating pedal tones over a manual chord progression on the conductor module. Let's take a moment to explore the interaction of a few of these parameters. Swing percentage dial changes the amount in which your upbeats are delayed in order to create swing rhythms. This only works for 16th, 8th, and quarter notes. Pushing this all the way to 100% creates more of a grace note or a flam effect. The beat multiplier number box simply multiplies the selected subdivision by the number in the box. 16th notes with a beat multiplier of 2 will last the duration of 2 16th notes, or 1 8th note. A beat multiplier of 3 16th notes will create dotted 8th notes. Let's take a moment to review how the velocity section works. The default velocity number is the average velocity for all non-accented notes. dV range expands the upper and lower bound of the default velocity by that amount. You can set 2 different accent frequencies which correspond to the subdivisions whether or not a note is generated by the probability, such that here, accent 2's velocity will be triggered every 16 16th notes and accent 1's every 4 16th notes. But accent 1 will be overridden by accent 2 velocity if they occur on the same beat. Here, all the non-accented notes are playing with the quietest velocity possible. You can rearrange the velocities to cause the downbeats to not accent and everything else in between to be louder. Change your accent 1 and accent 2 frequencies on the fly to create new rhythmic possibilities. Increasing the default velocity range will greatly change the variability of the velocity of all non-accented notes. Each section, melody and rhythm, has a randomize button to allow you to randomize all the parameters within the given section. Randomizing the melody also affects the probability and probability range. The distribution of results for any given parameter when randomizing will follow a typical bell curve, such that the most likely results will be more common musical parameters. But because one parameter may be at the end of the bell curve, you could still end up with some unusual, fascinating, and wild results. Thanks for watching this tutorial video, and be sure to subscribe to our channel as we continue to release new tutorials, demos, and lots of tips for how to get the most out of your PinkAI generative composer.